The Detroit Red Wings have themselves the Winnipeg Jets later today, one of the worst teams in the National Hockey League. So the Wings obviously have a good opportunity to do something here. But instead of going over the tale of the tape, instead of talking about this game to be, I wanted to talk about some Red Wings trades and the latest as to what could happen. We'll also dive into this name right here, Patrick Kane. Not because Kane is on the block or because he's going to get moved, but because of what Kane ended up saying in regards to Detroit Red Wings trade talk. He addressed it himself, and he had some pretty strong opinions. Let's dive into the scoop. Patty Kane, of course, 37 years old. He is signed on till the end of this season, making $3 million. He has been a one-year per season contract kind of guy every single year ever since leaving the New York Rangers and the Chicago Blackhawks. And Kane, for the most part, has been a very good player for Detroit this year. 29 points in 37 games played, on pace for 52 points over a 67-game campaign. It's kind of unfortunate because he hasn't really been, as productive as we had been used to seeing throughout certain pockets of the 25-26 season. Sure, there were really good stints to open up the year, but as of late, the guy only has 1 assist in his last 5 games. That's definitely taken a turn for the worse in terms of point production. But I guess you can say, hey, everybody else on Detroit is scoring, including some of the guys that we didn't really expect to be top-tier point producers, so maybe there is solace in Patrick Kane's numbers going down. Big shout out to Comfer, JVR, Kopp, and others. But this is what Patrick Kane said in regards to Detroit Red Wings trades. It's a video tweeted out by Brad Galley. This was from earlier 2 days ago. Patrick Kane talked about the possibility of the Detroit Red Wings finally being buyers this year at the trade deadline. I think we have put ourselves in a position to maybe go and get some players and try to be a team that's a buyer at the deadline, he said this week. I'm sure whatever moves we make, we'll be excited about them, if there's any. We are still very confident with the group we have here going up against anybody. And the video is an ABC News clip where the host goes out there and talks about how the Red Wings haven't been buyers under Steve Yzerman, which makes sense. Yzerman came into the fold in 2018-19, and the Wings have sucked a lot since then. Then you have the interview comments from Patty Kane himself. Kane believes the Red Wings can bolster their roster at the trade deadline. And if you've been paying attention to the Detroit Red Wings and their story the past few years, you'd obviously understand why acquiring extra assets is valuable for this team. We saw last year Dylan Larkin got all pissy because the Red Wings didn't do that. And guess what? The Red Wings ended up finishing pretty low in the standings when you compare it to some of the other playoff teams, so it's not really like the Red Wings were in the best position to add. They were 5 points out of a playoff spot after all. But still, it was the sentiment from Stevie Y. It was this idea that, hey, the team is not good enough to compete yet, therefore we're not going to go out there and make some additions that Dylan Larkin seemed to have been really upset about. There were some extra conversations. Larkin and Yzerman talked in private about it. You can say that maybe some of those expectations were put into place because of how well the team did in 23-24. I say how well they did, but they still didn't make the playoffs. Although I will say, they were tied with Washington for that final wildcard spot 2 years ago. Obviously a total dagger that they ended up missing on the dance because of John Tortorella pulling the goaltender for Philadelphia. That's essentially what ruined Detroit in the final game against Washington. But either way, Patty Kane is echoing similar sentiments from Dylan Larkin, except without the rage this time. I say rage. It's not like Dylan Larkin was fuming at the nostrils with steam coming out of his ears, but you could definitely tell he was pissed off that the Wings did not add anybody yesteryear. Kane is saying the same thing. They could go out there and add somebody. So with Patrick Kane's comments in the fold, let's talk about names that the Red Wings could go out there and add. Starting out with this article published by Jake Ty on the Hockey News from earlier yesterday. Yeah, that's right, baby. It's a conversation on Jason Robertson of the Dallas Stars, and how the Red Wings could re-enter the Robertson sweepstakes as Dallas faces a cap crunch. NHL Insiders notes that the Dallas Stars are trying to keep superstar Jason Robertson, and the chances that they'd be able to do that are extremely difficult. And the Red Wings, they still have the chance to make a move too. The Red Wings were heavily involved earlier this year in trade rumors surrounding Robertson, and all indications are that he is far from a settled situation. The Stars are firmly established as a Stanley Cup contender, boasting one of the league's deepest and most talented rosters. That level of talent, however, comes with financial consequences. With significant money already committed to several core players, Dallas is facing increasing difficulty when it comes to retaining another elite star under the cap. Robertson, 26, is expected to command a massive raise on his next deal. Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman recently suggested that Robertson and his camp could be seeking a deal in the range of a $12 million per season contract, comparable to fellow Dallas star Mikko Rantanen. That type of cap hit would be extremely challenging for the Stars to absorb without moving other important pieces. Now, that's the article. It's short, but Ty does propose the Red Wings as a potential destination here for Jason Robertson. The Wings are one of the few teams in the National Hockey League that would be able to pay that price. Whatever it is J-Rob wants on his next deal, Detroit could swoop in and say, hey, we got you, buddy. Don't worry about it. And furthermore, to that point, it's not even just Jason Robertson that we can talk about. There are some other defenseman targets as well. Here's another Hockey Writers article proxied onto yardbaker.com. This one was written and published by Tony Wallach. 4 underrated Red Wings trade targets to improve team defense. With Simon Edvinsson and his issues, plus the fact that Travis Hamonic is extremely unreliable, you can say that extra defensive depth is, in a way, necessary for the Detroit Red Wings. And there are some other guys that are written and talked about here in this article. A modest approach to the 2025 deadline would be to add a number 5 D-man, someone who can skate alongside of Albert Johansson on the third pair and be able to jump up to the second pair if called upon. This defenseman should be reliable in their own end, be a willing shot blocker, and kill penalties for Detroit. Ideally, they have deep Stanley Cup playoff experience and a mean style of play. Though these last 2 criteria are more wants than needs. Given these requirements and the current trade market, here are 4 rental D-men whom the Wings could target. First, you have Brett Kulak out of the Pittsburgh Penguins, a stay-at-home blue liner who had played a key role in Edmonton's back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals appearances. He had the lowest 5-on-5 high-danger Corsi against per 60 with the Oilers at 9.12, and strong penalty kill numbers at 5.35 goals against per 60 before he was traded to Pittsburgh. He doesn't hit a lot, and he has modest shot block totals, but he is steady nonetheless. Jamie Oleksiak is a massive 6'7" D-man with 2.1 goals against per 60 and 2.65 expected goals against per 60, playing second and third pair minutes with Seattle. He's a willing hitter and shot blocker, but he has poor penalty kill metrics. He also reached the Stanley Cup Final in 2020 with Dallas. Luke Schenn is written about here, playing a sheltered role with the Winnipeg Jets, but he also has the lowest 5-on-5 high-danger Corsi against per 60 on the team at 10.19. His 13.79 hits per 60 ranks in the top 5 league-wide. Luke Schenn can play mean and kill penalties, and he won 2 Stanley Cups with Tampa Bay. And then you have Carson Soucy, with strong zone entry denial numbers and solid defense. Okay, don't know if I'd agree with that, but still. Standing 6'5", he can hit block shots and is adequate on the penalty kill. Soucy won't contribute much offensively, and he isn't exactly mean, though. So, I get it, these names, they're not as flashy as Jason Robertson. But when you think about the Red Wings' need for extra defensive depth, I think any one of these guys would be a reasonable add. Is he a big, sexy kind of addition for a playoff rental? No, but would they be stable and actually improve the quality of the team? I do think that is true as well. Jason Robertson would be the big, sexy add if you wanted to use those terms. So with that in mind, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Patrick Kane's comments on the Red Wings potentially being able to add somebody? Do you agree? Disagree? Who do you think the Red Wings should target based off of the list of names that we had looked at in today's video? I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on, and bye.